Let's bring in Francesco Rizzuto, Professor of Law at the University of East London. He joins me live from Liverpool in the UK. Welcome to you, Francesco. I mean, the first question is, I know that the EU and the UK and Jersey and quite a few places immediately seized assets that belonged to the Russian state or prominent Russians. It seemed like they made that decision on kind of moral ground, but was it legal to seize those assets?
Well, they froze them, which is not quite the same as seizing them and in effect confiscating them. So it was legal for them to do so because they were not confiscated as such. Obviously now using Article 122, which I think is actually debatable, frankly, whether it could be a legal basis for freezing them forever or for as long as the war continues and the Russians then pay reparations. I think that's going to be challenged in court, in the European court. I'm sure that Hungary and Slovakia will challenge that if they manage to get it through on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, freezing them is one thing. When you start using them as collateral for loans, then you're treating them really like that's your own property. So it takes us onto a kind of a different level. Russia's already seen an opportunity legally. So the Russian Central Bank today filed a lawsuit. Yes, this is within the Moscow courts, but they're claiming $229 billion from Euroclear, which is the Belgian bank, which holds, I think, 2/3 of these frozen assets. So, I mean, the legal challenge has already been mounted. Do you think they have much of a case?
Not necessarily. I don't think we're going to take too much notice of what happens in a Moscow court. I think the game will actually switch to the Luxembourg court, frankly, because I'm absolutely certain that Hungary, for example, will mount a challenge against what's happening.
It's not clear cut, though, is it, Francesco? I mean, I've seen arguments made by prominent lawyers on both sides of this.
Look, in preparation for this talk, I reread Article 122. And frankly, it was used for COVID. It's really very debatable. It's in the chapter on economic policy. And OK, look, Mr. Trump ignores the law, so why shouldn't we? I think that we need to act. This is about politics, not necessarily about legal niceties. And I think Mr. Trump has put the European Union in that terrible position.
Doesn't what Belgium is saying actually give us a clue as to the concerns here? Because Belgium is worried about legal repercussions on itself, because as the holder of most of these Russian assets, it's scared of repercussions. That tells me they think that this is a dodgy ground legally.
And you're absolutely right. And I think I actually may have said on this channel, or I may have said elsewhere, that I thought using 122 was debatable. Look, the European Union and the member states of the European Union could deal with this by basically underwriting the loans as member states for the Ukraine, which is basically going to run out of money. They're not doing it because they don't want their taxpayers to suddenly be provoked by opposition parties into saying we're using our taxes to prop up Ukraine when our own people are starving. That's the game, basically. We, as member states, do not want to use our taxpayers' money to directly keep Ukraine afloat over the next 2 years. The Belgians know this.
Francesco, I'm sorry to interrupt you, just because I really want to squeeze in one more on an important issue. There's reputation at risk here, isn't there? So if the European Union starts treating other countries' assets in a way as if it's like they can do what they like, is that not going to cause ripple effects? So the likes of China, Saudi Arabia, who have huge exposure in the European debt market, aren't they going to go, well, we can't trust the EU? And if they withdraw any of their money, is that not going to have financial repercussions, make bonds more expensive, get more expensive for anyone else investing?
I think you're absolutely right. I actually think that the approach that the Commission is proposing to the Council, because of the misgivings of certain member states in the councils, will actually cause what you call ripple effects. Nobody will trust us anymore. In international law, this would amount to confiscation, right? And that's not really allowed under international law. So I hope that they go for the option that the Italians, the Bulgarians, the Maltese, the Belgians, clearly the Hungarians, but for different reasons, and the Slovakians. I hope they go for a different option. We should underwrite what we want to do and leave that money alone, other than the interest that's accrued the way we've been doing it until now. I think any other option puts the whole of the international financial system at risk, notwithstanding the fact that we have a president of the United States that cares very little about international rules.
Francesco, pleasure to speak to you. Thank you. Francesco Rizzuto, Professor of Law at the University of East London.